Hi, I'm Diane Davidson. Welcome to our podcast, Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. I'm with the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams, and I'm here today with, again, the man you shouldn't let in your house if you live in Bedford, if you own your property, Doug Irvin, tax assessor.
Thank you very much.
So, Doug, we had a segment we recorded for some very really great information, a lot of detail, and I think there's even more to dig into. But we want to make it a little bit fun now. And
Assessing is fun.
oh, I meant a lot fun now, and ask you about some of your experiences. So, we'll start with scariest.
Scariest experience as an assessor.
Yeah.
And just to remind people, I think a lot of people know what we do or have an idea. We're valuing property, but we have to be out in the field doing some of this work. So you run into some very interesting situations. So scariest, it's kind of between a dog and a gun.
Okay, good thing it
So
was a dog with a gun. That would have taken it.
Okay.
Okay.
Dog first.
Okay.
I love dogs.
I do too.
I even like this dog. It was just doing its job. So I was
so
going.
were you, by the way, right?
Exactly. We both had jobs to do, and I was in Bedford, just on a quiet street. It was late morning. It was a beautiful summer day, and I had sent letters to these property owners saying, "Hey, I'm coming around because we're checking this and that, and just want to give you a heads up.
Put the
We
coffee
try."
on.
Yeah. And I get to this house and I can see somebody's there, the car's parked there. The front door isn't where it should be, so I kind of swing around the side and I see that the front door is wide open. Now, for someone in my position, you don't really want to have that. You want to ring the doorbell and let somebody decide if they want to open the door and let you, or talk to you or whatever. But the door was open. It was a hot summer day. I ring the doorbell and stand back a little bit. This is something that smart assessors do. You ring the doorbell. People are never prepared, and you step back. You don't want to be in people's space. You want to step back and give them some space, which I did. And as I did that, I'm kind of looking down the hall to this house. It's a long hall, and a dog peeks around the corner. This dog happened to be a terrier, very strong dog, and it didn't like that I was there. So it starts running down the hall after me, and I'm just standing at the front door with nothing more than a tape measure and a clipboard. I don't have treats. I've never really carried those around, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna defend myself? And I don't want my hands to get messed up. I don't, this is gonna be hard. This is going to be painful. And just as the dog is getting to me, I put my clipboard out like that and was about to say no. And,
Because that would have done it.
That would have done it. The owner calls the dog back. I mean, it was right at me. It was so close. So close. And I was imagining, how's this going to feel to be bitten or whatever.
Mauled.
So that's one of the scarier ones. Okay. And that only has happened out of thousands of property visits, probably a couple times. I think maybe twice that I've had really close calls with dogs. You learn to do things like, if you have to go into a backyard, if I'm going to see if the pool got put in, for instance, I have to go around back to see some of those things. And sometimes there are dogs that are like under a deck or sleeping, and they might be outside, and that's fine. So I make a lot of noise, I try to make a lot of noise. After I've rung the doorbell and nobody seems to be home, I still try to make noise. So you learn.
Any
things.
wildlife? Bears? No? Coyotes?
I haven't seen a bear, although I've been close, and then you hear the neighbors talking about it. I've heard people yell bear. And then I'm like, do I have to go back to my car, or what do I have to do?
Heck with the pool, yeah.
Deer, very common.
Yeah.
Raccoons. Sometimes they're aggressive.
Yes, they can be.
It's like, what did I do? I don't know. I'm an assessor, so they sense that and they want to attack. So yeah, I mean, you're used to that. And by the way, most of the dogs I've ever met, I've loved. You know, they're always happy to see you. It seems, or if they're not, they'll keep their distance.
Yeah.
I've been nipped by a little dog once, not hard, just I looked away and boom, but it was like this tall, and I just kind of ignored it. So yeah, animals.
Okay, so that was one of the two. Gun. Get dog. Now let's go to gun. What was that story?
Firearms. So, you know, people don't always know you're coming. And this is not something I like about my job, is the unknown like that. I'm not trying to catch people off guard ever. And we've taken steps in Bedford to try to let people know we're coming, and then they can decide, hey, it's really not a good idea for you to come. There's nothing that obligates them to have us. We rely on the cooperation of property owners. But there's nothing that requires them to let me into their house.
Or on their land.
It's usually or on their land.
Yep.
And if it's posted no trespassing, we're very respectful of that. This is New Hampshire.
Good trick. Everyone listen to that.
Yeah.
Little sign.
Yeah,
sign
right.
at the
The
hardware
whole
store.
town of Bedford
8,300 signs
is
they
now
just
no
sold.
trespassing. But in the state of New Hampshire, it's a tricky situation. So I always err on the side of caution. And most of the time, it's like, oh yeah, that's not for you. I can always call people back and say, hey, I noticed your signs. I was pretty conservative about my decision not to come on the property.
Yeah.
Well, is it okay? Of course. And then it's fine. But this one day, on a busy street in Bedford, in a nice neighborhood, a well-known area of town, a family neighborhood.
We're not. Well, you can say that. I can't. But go ahead.
I'm going to say nice family neighborhood, and I won't name the neighborhood, but I was going to do a sales verification. This is where a property sells, and I'm just going to come out and do nothing more than check my property record card against reality and look at the house, make sure it's measured properly, make sure we're not making any errors, so that at the end, I have validated our figure as the truest figure at that time that I can. And then the sale price will be where it is, and my number will be where it is, and we record that difference, if there is one. So routine. I'd sent the letter. Go to the door. I'm in a marked town vehicle with the Bedford town seal on the side and all that stuff. Ring the doorbell, nobody answers, dog barks. Ring the doorbell again. Dog still barks, then dog stops. I'm like, well, is somebody there? So I have door cards. I've already sent this person a letter ahead of time. But we also leave door cards. So anytime we go to a property, people will know we were there for whatever reason. And usually it's a checkbox, and I'll check off the reason I was there. So I put that in the storm door, just slid it in, and continued to go around the house and check all my information. So I'm in the middle of the backyard swinging around, and I'm literally in the middle of the backyard. I'm 20, 30 feet from the back deck of this house. And all of a sudden, the slider comes slamming open, and this guy comes out onto the deck, and he's got a Glock in his hand, and he's in this down ready position, and like a SWAT guy, just like shuffling across his deck. And this is probably a family show, so I'm not going to talk about what his exact language was, but it wasn't pretty, and he was pretty upset. But he basically said I had better have a good reason for being in his backyard, and all I could think to do when he wasn't pointing the gun at me, but it was like this. I just put my hands up, clipboard, tape measure, and said, assessor.
That clipboard, huh?
Ooh, yeah. Gun was loaded, I found out later.
And it stayed loaded, so that's a good thing.
It stayed loaded. He knew pretty quickly what I was doing. And it turned out to be somebody who's involved in government, and the line of work he was in could have put him in jeopardy, and So I think he was very cautious about, why is this guy going around my house? Is this some vindictive
Yeah.
situation for my profession? Of course it wasn't. And I explained I sent the letter and left the door card and drive a marked vehicle. And, and that was that. That was pretty much that. I went on with my morning. I just kept going.
You and the clipboard on the table.
Then I got back to the town offices and reported that. Our police department was understanding that one is able to defend their property and can show a gun. I think they were more frustrated that this individual knew better than to not contact the local police department and say, hey, I had this encounter with one of your people, and this is what happened, or I'm just letting you know. And I'm not giving away the vocation of this person, but they were frustrated that this person didn't make that extra step to say, hey, this happened. Instead it came from me saying, this happened.
Interesting. So when we're off camera and not recording, I'm going to guess the address because I think I know. Okay, anyway. Because, people are looking around town and you kind of know what they do. Anyway, okay,
Yes.
so in the time that we have left, is there a funny story?
One comes to mind.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to think about this over time, and maybe you'll have me back and I'll come up with a funnier one.
Okay.
So we'll build up, but I'm going to
good.
start with, it was my first week in the industry.
Oh, God.
I barely know what I'm doing, I mean, I know how to measure things.
And you got a clipboard.
I hardly know what an assessor's office is or does, and I'm out there measuring houses. This is in a Massachusetts community, kind of rural. And I was told that I needed to not only measure the house, but all the outbuildings too, and just make sure those are accurate. So I had introduced myself to the family, and they were kind enough to have me through their raised ranch home. It went quickly, it's kitchen, bedroom, bathroom.
Efficient layouts there.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah. Raised basements, partially finished, and then you got the garage. It went quick. I'm like, I've got this. So I go out back. I go to the shed, and I'm standing a few feet in front of it. And this is probably like 11 in the morning. The door to the shed opens up, and I can see there's a bed in the shed, and an elderly woman, probably 80 or so, comes out of the shed in her bathrobe. Her hair is disheveled as if she just woke up, and she looks at me, and I look at her and didn't know what to say. She stopped, paused, and just kept walking back into the house. Never said a word to me. Just, that was random.
Everyday occurrence.
Boy,
Grandma
so
sleeping in the
Grandma
shed.
was sleeping in the shed before tiny houses were a thing. I had no frame of reference for this, and it's never happened again since, which might be a good thing. Funny, odd.
Odd.
More
Yeah.
odd than funny.
Unusual, yes.
Yes, yeah. I will say this, though. I really enjoy meeting people. So most of my encounters are positive. People are usually pretty cool. They'll give me some time. Sometimes you meet people who do really interesting things or want to know more about what you do. And the vast majority of the people that I meet, especially in Bedford, are fine. They're great. It's always a pleasure to interact with folks, even though the reason I'm there, is valuation for ad valorem tax purposes. That's not anybody's cup of tea. Nobody wants taxation. If they could avoid it, they would. It's a reality of life. But I would just say that most people are pleasant and interesting and fun to interact with. So it's not all drama and doom and gloom. Once in a while, people are cranky.
Oh,
and
sure. They are cranky no matter what the situation.
I'm sure in your industry, selling houses and buying houses. I mean, those are big emotional
experiences.
and financial decisions people make.
Doesn't
I give
always
you a
bring
lot
out
of
the
credit
best.
for dealing with that. You have your own challenges, I'm
We
sure.
do. Well, we do, but we love what we do, just as you do. And on a personal, I just want to say that I met you and Bill, who was your former partner in crime, the former
Mhm.
tax assessor.
My boss.
Your boss, and who
Yeah.
passed away about a year ago, very suddenly, and we
He
all
did.
love him very much. And so I just want to say thank you to him and thank you to you for becoming a friend, because you're a wonderful person.
Aw.
We get a huge kick out of you.
Thank
and,
you.
It's just
And
I
feel the
love
same
saying I'm friends
about
with the
you.
tax assessor. I love it because you and Bill are both wonderful human beings. I say
He-
are because
he was
he's,
great.
he's still here. As far as
He
I'm-
was great. He taught me a lot, and he had a saying: when things were really difficult, in difficult circumstances, he would say, "Well, it's all about fun," and that was his motto.
And you just did. That's exactly what he would do. I could see that.
Oh, yeah.
I told you that you have his manners. Anyway,
I can imitate. Yes.
very
So,
personal. So
Thank
okay,
you very
thank you.
much.
So
I
we're going to
appreciate
come back because we're going to talk about how you measure what vision appraisal is, how
Sure.
they come into play with valuations, and just all sorts of fun things. I think it's interesting, and people should know how what you do affects really or has influence on what is often the most valuable asset somebody has.
sure.
And how approachable you are. So
And in
thank
real
you.
estate, sure, you're welcome. And in real estate, people rely on that information. So
Absolutely.
happy to talk about it whenever you'll have me back.
Thank you. Be careful of dogs, guns, Glocks. Anyway,
Yes.
thank
It's
you.
an exciting world out there.
It sure is. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.